These are 8 things that I want you to think about stop doing in your 50s or 60s. Half of this list is gonna be financial things, but the other half is gonna be life things. And let's start with one of the life items, and that is, let's all stop pretending. Pretending to be somebody that society wants us to be, and instead just be us. And you know what? Plenty of people are gonna like our authentic self. There's always gonna be some people that aren't gonna vibe with us, and that's fine. But if we're not gonna be our authentic self by the time we're 60, I hate to break it to you, but you're never gonna be your authentic self. And I want you to have the peace and the comfort that comes with being your authentic self, and to being okay in realizing, you know what, some people aren't gonna vibe with you, and that's okay. But plenty of people will vibe with you, and when we're our authentic self, we also attract other people that like who we really are. So that's the first one. The second one, and this is gonna be controversial, this is a savings one, and I need to put out there, I was a financial advisor for over 20 years before I retired. And so many of my peers are gonna disagree with this. Some in my audience are gonna disagree as well, but I think it's important to put it out there for you to think about. And that is that consider stop saving or saving less than what you're currently saving. And the reason for that is, none of us know how much time that we have. Most of us know somebody that did not make it to retirement, and they made all these sacrifices, and they did not get to fully enjoy the money that they worked so hard for. And hopefully we all live to 90 or older. But if we don't, I want you to take some of that money and enjoy things now. Many of my viewers are great at saving. They're great at sacrificing today for a stronger and a more secure future. But we're getting close. If that future is not now, we're getting close to that future. And an example of this is, outside the window. I'm on a train here in Sweden, and we're going to the birth town of my wife's great grandparents. They were born here in Sweden before they immigrated to the United States. So doing adventures like this, doing things that, you know, you're going to look back on and say, this was a really meaningful experience. So I want to encourage you to do that. And if it means saving 10% instead of 15% or 15% instead of 10%, whatever the number is, I think you'll look back and you'll say the trade-off was worth it. Okay, the next one is, and some of these are going to get me in trouble. This is one that will. I want you to stop spending money on things that don't bring you joy. I want you to look back at the last 6 months of your spending. Bring out your credit card statements and ask yourself, what were the things that you spent money on that really moved the needle and helped you enjoy life more? And what were the things that you're like, I don't even remember what I bought from that online retailer? And for many of us, the things that bring us joy are going to be things that we do with people that we love and we care about. They're going to be adventures, they're going to be experiences, but for most of us, it's not going to be things. As I get older, I find I want fewer and fewer things. Frankly, I want more time, and I want more adventures, and I want more health. Those are the things that are important to me, and stronger, deeper relationships with people that I care about. Okay. The next thing to think about stop doing, and we all have a tendency to do this, is to stop putting yourself down. It's just easy to look back on life and say, oh, I should have done this differently, or I should have done that differently. And instead of just embracing who we are, embracing the things that we've done well, and realizing that making mistakes is part of the journey, failing is part of the journey towards success. And just enjoying that and doing what we can to avoid the anxiety about tomorrow, and also the regrets about things that we might wish that we could do differently, but we can't rewrite the past. So, quit putting ourselves down. And the next one is related. It's stop worrying. Worrying, I think, is the thief of joy. And I can suffer from this as well. worrying about, gee, maybe there's a hiccup coming in the future, or there's a difficult conversation that unfortunately you need to have. Oftentimes these things end up playing out a lot better than what we thought that they would. So initially, we might say, we can connect the dots and, oh, if this happens and that happens, this worst case scenario can happen. But as I get older, I'm in I'm 60 right now. As I get older, more times than not, things play out much better than what I had initially thought. So, but yet I worried, I stole the joy. For instance, if I was worried about something now, it would steal the joy of me being able to just enjoy this trip. The scenery that we're seeing here, the adventure that we're going on to see my wife's great grandparents' birthplace, things like that. Okay, the next one, again, this is going to get me trouble. But stop over supporting adult children that really probably don't need our support. We can make things a little bit easier for them. And as a parent, we want to do that. But if you have to choose between helping your kids out, your adult children out financially, or making sure you have a secure retirement, a secure retirement is one of the biggest gifts here in the United States that we can give to our kids, that they don't have to worry about mom and dad in retirement, that we've saved, we have what we need for retirement, and unless something really unusual happens, we're going to be fine. We don't need to, quote unquote, burden them with that. But too often, people put their retirement at risk in order to maybe help their kids go back and get a graduate degree. In order to maybe help them buy their first house, in order to help them buy a car. And you know what? They have loans to go back to school. They're called student loans. They have loans to buy a house. They're called mortgages. And they have loans to buy a car. They're called car loans. But you know what there is no loan for? There's no loan for retirement. So we need to make sure that we're shoring things up and that we have a secure foundation so that we can give our children the peace of mind that they can live their lives and mom and dad are going to be fine. Okay. The next one, and this is a big one. I want you to stop taking your health for granted, both your physical health and your mental health. Staying healthy, there's only so much we can do to control it, but most of us know what the basics are, right? We need to do something every day to move. I think every week we need to do something to maintain our muscle mass because at our age, we're losing muscle mass every year. And we also need to do some stretches to just keep at bay those aches and pains that come with getting older. So we know what that is. And with mental health, if we need to see somebody to help keep us in a positive state of mind, if we need to consider taking medication, that's something that can be worthwhile to think about doing. So be willing to invest in yourself, both the time, the money, and the energy it takes to stay physically and mentally healthy. And then the next one is just realizing, not just don't take your time, your mental health and your physical health for granted, but let's stop taking our time for granted. Unfortunately, by the time we're 60 years old, most of us are going to have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time. And I want to see you squeeze all the juice out of the youth of your senior years. If you like this video, the YouTube algorithm says, this is the next video of mine you should watch. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.